Hey everybody, a special video today with my good friend Jonas J. Campbell. We're going to talk about, well, what's already on the screen. So we're not going to bury the headline at all. I have to tell you that I'm very excited to touch this subject with my good friend Jonas because I think he probably can offer some insight or an opinion that you may not hear elsewhere.
Oh,
So
well,
from that,
thank you.
well, you betcha. Thanks for joining me. Of course, Jonas, you can find over on That Park Place, which, I'm over there occasionally, and I think it's probably one of the best locations you can find. Content to cover. That Park Place has fantastic news stories by real professionals who do try to give you the straight truth instead of the spin. So you can find that regularly on thatparkplace.com, but more importantly, on the website channel, on the YouTube channel. I'll have to correct that. But you can find that on the YouTube channel as well. That Park Place, which is, well, absolutely fantastic, dynamic, and just extra special. And of course, the man of many voices, Jonas J. Campbell, is over there regularly, so do check that out. Anyway,
Well,
moving on.
thank you.
Moving on, we have, of course, Matthew Vaughn saying that Deadpool 3 is going to give the MCU a jolt, and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are about to save the whole Marvel Universe. This comes to us from our friends over at Deadline. This is Armando Tinoco spinning this out yesterday, and I found a lot of fault with this article, Jonas. And I'm gonna read it, and you can probably find fault with it as I did.
I
don't
was very
know.
surprised at the headline. Yes.
Yeah, the headline's a little rough. So Matt Vaughn is teasing Deadpool 3 is going as far as saying that the film directed by Sean Levy is going to give Marvel Universe a jolt. A jolt? Yeah, it's going to be the first R-rated film in the Disney MCU universe proper. So yes, it would definitely be a jolt. Jonas, what kind of jolt are you expecting out of this Marvel film?
I'm expecting a lot of surprise, and if people are excited to revisit, Logan coming back into the Marvel universe. Sorry, I guess he's canon now. Wolverine being in the Marvel universe. If they left on the note of liking Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, if they skip Logan, they might be surprised at the content level here for Deadpool 3.
They might be, but when I look at this, I go, okay, I I'm very skeptical of this film. I think it's not going to deliver. I think it certainly isn't going to make back the money Disney needs it to, and it isn't appealing to the broadest possible audience because of its rating. But let's set all that aside. We'll move through this article some more. So, apparently, while Vaughn was out promoting his latest movie, Argyle, which I'll actually be doing a review on here shortly, the filmmaker made an appearance on Bro Bible's post-credit podcast, where he talked about the movie starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. So he says, the few snippets that I know about Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Wolverine versus Deadpool, I'm sure that argument between Ryan and Hugh is happening as we speak. And he just basically says, they're unbelievable. So it was a long way to say, the few snippets I know about Deadpool versus Wolverine are unbelievable. That's what he tried to say without all that insertion. Anyway, Vaughn continued, that's going to be a jolt. The Marvel Universe is going to have a jolt of them. Okay. And it's going to bring that body back to life. Okay. So is Matthew Vaughn suggesting what we all have is that the MCU is dead as a brand?
Well, yes, I think that I don't think there's anyone that can actually, with a straight face, say that the MCU is on track right now. There's some that like to say that, the Marvels was a surprising misstep. No, they've been on this trend for a while. That success for a Marvel movie is the exception rather than the rule these days. I wonder what they're thinking here, what he's thinking here as far as a jolt goes. I know Matthew Vaughn, he tends to direct R-rated films, so maybe this is something that doesn't phase him in any way, but the MCU has pretty much been in that PG-13 phase, that Arrested Development kind of area there, where you have teenagers and adults that are immature as your central characters. That seems to be the bread and butter of the MCU. So maybe this is something where he feels like it's gonna speak to him. It's gonna speak to him as the consumer, and maybe he's projecting his ideas about a singular consumer to the entire market. I don't know.
That's quite possible. My takeaway is like Disney is acknowledging, as is Matt Vaughn, that this brand is dead. Again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not right, but it would be hard for me to disagree. I think the brand is very dead. But anyway, we'll continue. It says, he says, although Vaughn is not involved in the third installment of the Deadpool franchise, he previously directed Marvel films like 2011's X-Men First Class. And as a fan of X-Men characters, Vaughn is hoping that the film will have Jackman reprising his Wolverine role and that will be a success. Well, yeah. He says, I'm a genuine fan of X-Men. All I want is for the movies to be as good as they should be.
Yeah. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah. I Look, he's saying the right stuff, Jonas, but
Yeah.
I,
Here's the thing: he has nothing to do with the X Men films when it comes down to it. Sean Levy is directing this one,
yeah,
and Ryan Reynolds is probably working hand in hand with him. They're it says right there that they're credited as co-writers on the film.
right.
Ryan Reynolds is funny. He's you stick him in a situation, and he's a. There are some people that are funny because you gave them a line, and there are some people that are just generally funny. I think he's one of those guys that is genuinely funny. I think there are a lot of barriers in between here and there. You've got good situations, you've got marketability, you've got a lot of really great stuff going for you, except that the fact that this is an R-rated superhero action sex comedy, and the highest grossing R-rated film of all made $1,074,000,000, which is probably not where this film needs to land in order for it to be a good idea for Disney to do this.
Well, and again, my assumption is you're talking about Joker,
Yeah.
but in
Yes.
in that way, this film is not the Joker,
And
and
that was pre-pandemic, of course.
yeah, it was, and it was also at a time when that film only cost $55 million to make, so that's a highly profitable effort. This is going to cost upwards of $200 million. I'm not sure that anybody could argue that it won't be that expensive because there's probably a whole lot of
Well,
CGI in this.
do you think it costs less money to get Hugh Jackman to put on the Wolverine costume again? Deadpool is number 4 on this list, by the way, $782 million in 2016, and then they spent even more on the second one. And pulled in $3 million more worldwide too. So this is diminished. And Oppenheimer just almost 50 million short of $1 billion worldwide. Again, these are very diluted when we're talking about what actually goes back to the distributor here. So I don't know. Deadpool 3, if it does get $1 billion, I think that more power to him. I don't think it's going to get there. Because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that was the most goodwill that the MCU has had in a long time, and that only got to $800 million or so. So this is Disney could do what they always did in the past and say, "Oh, look at this great success we had. Please don't pay attention to how much money we spent in order to have this quote unquote success." I don't think this is a jolt. I think this is something that kids in high school will talk about. People in our sector might talk about, but I don't think general audiences are going to show up to this movie.
I'm with you. My biggest concern here is that it doesn't the goodwill that Disney Marvel had is gone, and even though this incorporates two of the more popular X-Men characters from kind of different origin because they certainly weren't MCU in the traditional sense. Is that going to pull in the Disney branded audience? And I would be hard pressed to say yes. Disney has been moving farther and farther away from their family friendly image for a while, willfully so, if not just in your face, in an in your face manner. This is such a step away from that family
Oh yeah, this is not a family film.
group.
The family will be very surprised if they show up to this one, which I'm hoping for their sakes that guys pay attention to the fact that this is R-rated. I have a channel that we sometimes end up reviewing kids content, and I probably need to emphasize this more. But the idea is, if you see something that's borderline, talk with your kids about it. This is not borderline territory. This is not parental guidance suggested. This is restricted. You don't let someone in unless they have an adult with them and they're pretty close to an adult.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. So, all right. So, this is prediction time, and then we're going to wrap it up. I got to ask you, think this film makes then, based on previous observation?
If the marketing is fantastic, I think they make 800 to 900 million worldwide.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm on the record saying I think this still comes in right at $800 million total
Hmm.
globally. I don't think it exceeds 800 million. I don't think it can. As you pointed out, the goodwill that used to exist within just the regular Disney Marvel universe is shot, let alone the expectations when Disney gets involved in a Deadpool film. I bet you that's precariously low as well.
Right, right, and they will not be profitable if this movie makes 800 million dollars. That's just
I
the
would
sad
suggest,
truth of it.
yeah, because of the shutdowns and everything else that had to occur, and now additional restrictions being placed, I think this film is going to cost too much money to make a whole lot of money. But again, I mean, Disney never learns. They look at what they did with Indiana Jones and the fantastic failure. So there we are. Well, thanks for being with me today, Jonas. I appreciate you jumping in for this quick one here on Deadpool 3 is giving the MCU the jolt of its life and bringing back the universe. I appreciate that.
It's funny that we could be very positive about this film and just say, but here is the straight fact of why it's probably not going to work for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see it and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to review it, but it's not going to make the money they need to. Anyway, Jonas, tell everybody where you come from, what you did. I did a poor job of that on introducing you.
No, you did a fantastic job. You can find me over on That Park Place, the YouTube channel. Of course, we also host a Thursday live stream at noon. This week, we'll be going over Epic Universe and all of the things to be excited for there. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of things that you don't get from that wonderful presentation video that they put out that we'll be going through land by land, item by item, and talking about what we have to look forward to there. We might even talk about some of the other parks Universal has. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. Culture is going to be there, and so are Vashkai and Mr. Lou Wasserman's Ghost, which I can't wait to, if you don't know him, I can't wait to introduce all of you out there in Culture's audience to him.
Yeah, it's going to be extraordinary. Once again, thanks for being here, Joe. For my very first attempt at doing a dual video, I'm learning. I hope all of you will forgive me for my faux pas, and I hope you will continue to check out That Park Place because hey, I do stories from there all the time. On that note, thanks for joining us today. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.